Official Wandering Weekends campground review for Hamburg State Park near Mitchell, Georgia. We are so excited to be back with another year of campground reviews. We got a really good one for you today, Hamburg State Park. But before we start, any of you new folks that's coming along, we're glad you're here. Let me explain how we do our reviews. So we break our reviews up into 6 different categories, and here are the categories: accessibility, scenery, atmosphere, cost, comforts, and kid-friendly. We break those down 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. You'll notice there's no such thing as a perfect campground, so keep that in mind as you watch the review. Let's get started with Hamburg State Park. As I mentioned, we always start with accessibility. You got to get there first, and Hamburg is off the beaten path, that is for sure. It's probably one of the more remote state parks in the state of Georgia, but there's nothing crazy. There's no dirt roads. There's no steep mountains to climb. There's no curvy roads, anything like that. Everything's county or state maintained roads. It is off the beaten path. It lost a point for the dump station. The dump station is at the opposite angle of what you would normally want. You normally want level or maybe a little bit facing uphill, and it was facing downhill a little bit. Accessibility scores a 7. Next up is scenery, and it's hard to beat Hamburg here. I'm just going to let you look at these pictures. They speak for themselves. Scenery scores a 10. Third on the list is atmosphere, and atmosphere was pretty good at Hamburg. We had some issues with a dog being off of a leash multiple times. That's always annoying, especially if you have a dog and small children. That really bothers us. The campground host didn't seem to be anywhere in sight to make that complaint to. And then also a lot of kids around riding bicycles without helmets, little kids. Having small kids, that also bugs us a little bit. It didn't dock the score too much. It was still a pleasant time. Atmosphere scores a 9. Next on the list is cost. And actually most of the Georgia state parks score a 5 here, but Hamburg is just a little bit cheaper. And so for $28 a night, you get everything you get at most of the other state parks. So we bumped it up a notch. It scores a 6 for cost. Second to last category is comforts, and Hamburg does not do very well here, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of people like to be out and away, goodness knows, especially right now with all of this coronavirus stuff going on. But it is out and away, for sure. The nearest gas station is about 15 minutes away. The nearest restaurant, there's only one, and it's pretty darn good. You'll see a couple of pictures of it there in the B-roll, Rayleigh's. It was really good. But there's not many options, and the main office where you check in, it actually doesn't have many options as far as supplies go. It has some t-shirts, it has some magnets, but no real options for supplies, so comfort scores a 4. We always save our favorite category for last, and that's kid-friendly. Hamburg scores an easy 10 here. Everything's flat, easy to ride a bike, playground was in great condition. Sometimes we'll dock the score if it's close to water, if the campground or campsite's close to water, but in this case it was a nice easy grade into the water. Didn't have to worry about anyone falling off into the lake. An easy 10 here for Hamburg. On to the bonus round, and Hamburg scores a bonus point because almost all of the sites are on the lake. And you'd need to stay away from 1 and 2 if you want a water site. If you want a site that's on the water, 1 and 2 will not help you. The best sites, I would say, would be our site, which was 16. We just lucked out with that one. And also site 20. But it's just marginal. There's a lot of really good campsites here at Hamburg. Add it all together, and Hamburg scores wonderfully at a 47. If there was some nearby dining or nearby shopping to do, which we like to do a lot of times, this would have easily broke 50, no problem. But if you like a remote campground, which we like that sometimes too, it's really hard to beat Hamburg State Park. Thank you guys so much for watching. You know, it really helps us when you guys share the videos. So if you think this one might help one of your camping buddies, drop them a share. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks.